Hey kids, today we are going to work on the column for our Arbor press. While this drawing might look very complicated, it's actually pretty easy. I'm going to do this in a couple of stages. I'm going to take care of this 7 column, as I'm going to call it here. I'm going to go ahead and put the small little holes into here, and then take care of this larger hole and then the 3 going down on the column. Finally, I'll finish up with the 2 on the other side. Well, let's get started with this drawing, kids. This is an English drawing, so I'm going to do an English standard part and hit create. This brings us to our model space. As always with me, I like to turn on my plane visibility. And I'm going to draw this column on the front plane. So I am going to start a sketch here on this front plane. If you look here, this is 6 by 3. I'm going to start mine going up 6. And we go over 3. If you look, it goes down 2. And if you look at the bottom, it has a thickness of 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2. We come down here and we complete our part. Once that's done, we finish. We're going to extrude this at 1 and hit OK. We have to take care of this little notch here. So I'm going to draw on this top plane here a little box. If you look, it is 0.625 deep and it is 1/2 inch wide. And that's from the front there. What I'm going to do here is I'm simply just going to draw a line and I'm going to dimension it. This is going to be 0.625 and it's going to be 1/4 inch over. It's 1/2 inch wide. And then we're just going to complete our box here. Once we finish, this is going to be an extrusion down. We're going to cut material. How far? All the way through the part, and we're going to hit OK. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to take care of these 4 holes here. I'm going to start a new sketch on this plane right here. And what I'm going to do is put some points in. These are in the middle and they are down 0.125. So I'm just going to put a point here and let's dimension our first one. It should be right in the middle. That's 0.125. And the depth is also going to be 0.125. Once I get that, I'm going to put my other point over here. Dimension that. And we are going to do the same thing at the bottom. Check the height here. And same thing there. Those are my 4 points on my front. I'm going to finish my sketch here. I'm going to go over to hole. And this hole, well, that's a huge one here. We are going to change. And this is a threaded hole. So we're going to go to a threaded hole, no seat. If you look, it says it is 832. So we are going to go to the size. If we go all the way up, this is a machinist screw, a number 8, 32 UNC. Now the last thing we have here is this little line with an arrow going down it. If we see this line with the arrow going down it, that symbol actually means depth. And we're going to learn more and more of these symbols as we go along. That means for the depth here, we are going to put 0.438 and hit OK. There is our threaded rod there. The next we should tackle is probably this big circle right here. And this big circle is actually a counterbore or a hole. Let's start a sketch, put it over here, and we will put a point, and this point has to be 1 down, and it is 1.062 over. So 1.062 over. That is our hole. Now, we're going to finish our sketch here, and let's take a second and talk about this hole here. If you see, we have a couple different things written here. This means we're going to have to refer back to our little handy chart we just looked at. I know this is a diameter, so we have a diameter that's 0.685. Then we have this little thing here. This looks like a counterbore that we've been doing. If you look over here, it is a counterbore, just like the shape we've been making. That means that we have one depth that's 0.685, another depth here, a counterbore depth, which is a diameter of 1.170. This is a tolerance here. That means this hole has to be plus or minus 0.002. That means it can be 1.168 or 1.172 for that hole to work. This was our depth, so the depth of this is going to be 0.776, our counterbore. That's actually pretty easy to put into Inventor. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit my hole. If you see here, this hole is smaller on the one side, larger on the other one. So that's a counterbore. So we're going to put a counterbore in there. There is no threading, so we don't have to worry about that. Now the next thing we have to do is just pretty much input some numbers. The first one here is my large diameter, and that is my 1.170. So when I click that, you'll see the circle come up. Now the depth of this is going to be 0.776. If we look through, we can start seeing it. The hole on the other side here, this is going to be our 0.685. We want this to go all the way through the object. So you can see there, my counterbore is coming out. So it is 1.17 with a counterbore of 0.776 and a through hole of 0.685. No threads, just one. Let's hit OK. And if you look at my object, you can see my counterbore. One side, let's turn off our visibility here. One side looks like the drawing. The other side, oh, look at me getting my planes all messed up, kids. This one looks like this other drawing. We can now take care of this, these three holes over here. Let's go to our front plane. Let's go to a new sketch. And this is going to be a circle. If we just touch our circle, it'll give us a midpoint. If we look up here, this is a radius of 0.725. So we double that for a diameter. So that's going to be 1.45. These little circles here are just 832. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a point on my top quadrant here. How do I know my top quadrant? Well, it'll stick to it right there. So I have a point right there. Once I'm done, I'm going to finish my sketch here. Let's put a hole in. This hole is going to be a threaded hole because it's 832. So we're going to a tapped hole, no sink. Number 832, and the depth of this, 0.375. We hit OK. You're thinking, Mr. Rhodes, that's just one hole. Do not worry. We're going to use our axis tool, touch our hole to put an axis right there. We're going to use our circular pattern. What feature do we want? We want that little feature around what axis? That axis. How many holes do we want? We just want 3 holes. Then we hit OK. All are finished. Since we got this side, let's go ahead and take care of this other side here. Let's go to our... Oh, we went too far with our depth here, kids. This wasn't supposed to go all the way through. Let's go over to our hole here, edit this feature. And we have a distance. We want to do 0.375. We were going all the way through. So we just have to fix one. Once we fix one, we fix them all. The power of CAD. All right, let's take care of this other side here. Start a sketch. Come over here. This one has us going over 0.562 from our edge here. So we go over 0.562. And we hit enter. That's going to give us a point right there. If you look, it says the next line goes over 1.562. 1.562. We're going to put another point in right there. Oops, that's not right. That's from the edge it goes over. So let's delete this line. And let's do another line here from the edge that goes over 1.562. There we go. And we'll put a point in there. It really doesn't matter about this line here because we're just using it for holes. These holes are 1032, so we have a different style hole. So we're going to click on our hole feature. Come up here, we're going to go to a number 10, and the distance of this is 0.25. So we don't want to go all the way through, we just want our distance 0.25 and number 10. These are threaded again. I'm going to hit OK. It's looking pretty good to me, kids. We just have 2 more features left. We have to draw 2 bolt holes here. So we're going to start a sketch. We're going to do it on this front plane here. And if you look, it's up 1.650. So we're going to put a point up. And that point is going to go up 1.650. The next point, well, that is just 1.7 above that. Ooh, look how close I got, kids. 1.7. I can finish the sketch here. I'm going to rotate this around to the other level here so we could see it a little better. I guess it's really the same. We're going to go to a hole. Now, this one, if you look at it, has that little V. V is a countersink, so I know I have to do a countersink. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to a countersunk hole. First diameter here is going to be 0.172. Oops, I'm sorry, kids. It's going to be 0.375. And then, because this is all based off of our hole right there, this is going to have to be a 3/8 inch hole. So we're going to go to 0.375. So 0.375. And we have an 82 degree, which we do. And countersunk. So that's all we need to do. We're going to hit OK. This doesn't exactly look right. Let's go ahead and look at this hole again. Let's edit this feature. What we have here, this isn't a tapped hole. This is actually a through hole. So the dimension down here is actually 0.172. So if we look at that, our mistake there was we had this as a tapped hole. It's not a tapped hole. This is a through hole like that. So we are just going to hit that. And as you can see, that goes all the way through. We're going to hit OK. And now our holes look closer to what it's supposed to be. 2 more parts left. We have this large hole to deal with down here. So this is another counterbore. Let's start a sketch. Click over here. And we'll put another point in here. And our point, same as our midpoint. And if you look, this one goes up 0.5. So I'm going to dimension this to 0.5. We're going to finish this sketch. We're going to do our last hole. Now this hole again is a counterbore. If you look, our counterbore is going the wrong way. So we actually want to cancel out of this. Let's delete this sketch. Let's go to the right side here and let's do the same thing we just did. Start another sketch. Put a point in. Point's going to be halfway up. Right there. Type in 0.5. Finish sketch. Now we'll come back, put our hole. Our hole here is another counterbore, so we have to go through the same steps again. This is going to be a non-tapped hole, so make sure it's not there, and countersunk. This top dimension is going to be 0.562. The depth of it is going to be 0.375. And this final dimension here is going to be 0.390. And this is going to go all the way through. We just hit finish our hole here. And if we look, that's it. That is our almost completed project. We actually have one more part, kids. We have to do the radius here, but that is super easy because all we have to do is fillet it. And the first fillet here is a radius of 1. So I'm just going to type in 1 and then click that one right there. Apply. And then we have one more, which is 0.38. So I'm going to type in 0.38. We're going to move this, hit that line, hit apply. There you go, kids. There is our part. Not too bad at all. Looking back here, I don't think I missed anything. The holes look both on the same side. We have our counterbores, and we learned a little something about countersinking. Looking at our tree over here, look how many parts we have. This is starting to be really fun, kids. Well, that is it for this part. There is a couple more we have to make, so I'll see you on the next video. As always, kids, if you have questions, come see me.